Akhil, we can start.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Before You Conclude lecture series of Jammu and Kashmir Policy Institute, a source of exhaustive information that will cover nuanced perspectives on international affairs. Thanks for joining us. I'll be kicking things off before turning it to our Ms. Jigyasa, our facilitator for today's virtual event. Uh, we are really excited to have everyone here today for what we find to be a really interesting discussion on gender disparity in electoral politics of South Asia. Uh, before we get started, I'll give a big background on before you conclude lecture series and introduce our speaker. The monthly online 1-hour session series before you conclude lecture series is aimed at fostering well-informed and erudite opinions on recent international developments and emerging debates. It focuses on analyzing issues in the sphere of geopolitics, political economy, traditional and non-traditional security threats, foreign policy, neighbored relations, and broadly covering issues related to climate, migration and refugees and gender. The session will invite academicians, researchers, and subject experts to deliver a 50-minute lecture followed by a 15 minutes Q&A session to provide a space for the audience to ask their questions and queries. In this context, Jkpi Policy Institute brings to a lecture on gender disparity in electoral politics of South Asia. And today we have with us Rekha Chaudhary, who is the former professor of political science, University of Jammu. She's working on various issues related to Jammu and Kashmir, particularly those related to identity politics, democracy, federalism, conflict, and peace. Her major publications include Competitive Politics in the Shadow of Separatism uh, and Jammu and Kashmir, Politics of Identity and Separatism. She has been a Commonwealth Queen Elizabeth House, University of Oxford Commonwealth Fellow. She has been also a Fulbright scholar at School of Advanced International Studies, Johns Hopkins University. And also Indian Council of Social Science Research National Fellow and Fellow of Indian Institute of Advanced Studies. On behalf of the entire team of Jkpi, I welcome you tonight. Thank you very much for taking time from your busy schedule to be here with us today. And that's all from me. I'll hand you over to my colleague, Ms. Jigyasa, who will take it from here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Akhil. And without taking much time, I will simply go again with the entire format. So just after me, I'll be passing on the mentor to Rekha ma'am, and she'll be delivering the lecture. And after that, there would be a dedicated Q&A session, in which we would take up all the questions that we were going to receive on our Facebook platform, and that will be followed by a closing remark from one of my colleagues. And with these remarks, I would like to hand over the mentor to Rekha ma'am. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jigyasa, and I'm very thankful to the Jkpi Policy Institute for inviting me for speaking on a topic of my interest. I want to talk about why there is gender disparity so far as electoral politics in South Asia is concerned. Why I've chosen South Asia is because South Asia has got certain, in context of gender, there's almost a continuity of the patriarchal structure, although as we know, each country within South Asia is quite diverse, and patriarchy takes diverse forms. But at the same time, there are certain constants, the similarities, and because of which means I find that if women are not able to be visible in electoral politics, especially in the decision-making positions, then there's something to do with patriarchy. So in order to understand that why women are missing. I'll use Amartya Sen's terminology, that missing women, although he has used it in terms of lower sex ratio, but even in terms of decision making in electoral politics, I'll rather say the electoral politics in India, when it comes to the question of power and higher positions, it is controlled by men, and the presence of women is very quite insignificant. When we talk about democracies and when we talk about electoral democracy, a question which is important for us to understand: democracy cannot be considered to be fully participatory and a fully democratic system unless we say the women who form half the population almost, if they are not represented in the decision making positions. And this is true of almost all the South Asian countries, that with the exception of now Nepal, which has by reservation 33% positions reserved for women in the legislature. In other countries, the position is quite dismal. Pakistan has 20% women, but again, it was also mainly because of nominated women members as well as reserved seats for women. But there are countries which have only 5% of participation of women in the legislature. India has got the highest number at present in 2019 Parliament. India has got the highest number since 1951, the first general election. And the highest number now is 14%, which means that for every 100 members of parliament, there are only 14 women. Which is a dismal position, and it's not, means when we are assessing democracy from various perspectives, then it becomes a very important element to assess it from this perspective also, that where are half the women, where are the missing women, why the women are missing when it comes to the lawmaking, highest positions of lawmaking. And the position in case of India, when we talk, the position is replicated, and the same is true for other federal systems as well. The position at the national level is replicated at the local state level as well. So it's almost the similar position. It's a paradox also. Means when we come talk of women and electoral politics, it's a paradox. Paradox because when we talk about the developed democracies, for example, United States of America, United States of America is still waiting for the first women president. Means they will say that they were waiting for a first black president and first women president. They had a black president very recently, but they still have not got their first women president. Interestingly, South Asian countries, almost each one of them has, if most of them have had women as head of the states. This was there in Sri Lanka. This was there. This is there in Bangladesh. This has been there in Pakistan, in India. So it's a paradox that India did achieve what the best of the democracies could not achieve, having women as the head of the state. So, so this is a paradox that when South Asian countries, and many of them, they had no such inhibition like in the Western countries, that you having a woman in those positions, there was no inhibition at all, and women have been very happily accepted as the heads of the state, as the ministers, as women in position of power. They have been accepted, and now this is the norm, that women can be the heads of the state. They can be as the prime ministers, as the presidents, so they can be there. But at the same time, uh, having a woman head of the state does not translate into having women in the critical, as a critical mass, where they would be represented in the lawmaking bodies and in the executive positions in the government, in the as ministers, in such critical numbers that they can be having their influence so far as the issues of women are concerned, are increasing the number of women. Means we can just talk about India and see what is the situation so far as women's representation and reservation for women at the parliament level is concerned. That reflects the context of patriarchy, in the sense that it's very interesting that when we had 33% reservation for women in the panchayats, this happened very silently. People were not aware. The political class in India was not aware that this is going to be such a radical step, that 33% of the seats will be given to women in the panchayats at all the three layers of the panchayat. So this was just introduced, and this has had a very I would say, and I'll be talking about it in details. This has had a very interesting outcome of the reservation for women in panchayats. But when it came to, because that was the commitment, because they started with the Rajiv Gandhi's government, this was the commitment of the Congress government, and this has been the commitment of almost every political party, including the BJP, that 33% reservation would be given to women in the state legislatures as well as in the union parliament. What has happened, that the bill has been introduced a number of times in the parliament, and every time one thing which has come to be seen is that despite their ideological and political differences, the political parties have united on this issue, that they have stalled very successfully. They have stalled the reservation for women in the state legislature and union parliament. The reason is, means you can see how the patriarchy is operating. I see politics as a resource, as a very, very important resource. In case of South Asian countries, politics is a very important resource. And as it happens in patriarchy, uh, means that is the way I define patriarchy. Patriarchy means which is a society in which there is a control of men, control over the resources and control over women. And means men control most of the resources, and men also control women, or women are under control. So and I see politics as a very, very important resource, because politics is a means for number of things. Politics is a means for holding political power. Politics is a means for holding important significant positions. It's also a means for in case of India, people join politics for earning money. It's almost a career. It's the one of the most important resource within the South Asian countries. Not only in India, it's everywhere. It's an important resource. And the case of reservation, 33% reservation, and how it has been stalled by political parties across the board, that clearly reflects that how it firstly reflects that how the politics is in the control of men at this point of time. Means when we say that there are 86 men for every 14 women, for every 100 members of parliament in case of India. In case of Pakistan, there are 80 to 20. So in South Asian countries, we say that politics is first of all monopolized, controlled by men. So how do these 14 women or 20 women who are part of the legislature, how are they seen? They're just seen like, okay, they are there. They are there even as significant members. They are there, they assert their power. Some of them become very, very powerful. For example, Mrs. Indira Gandhi is still a role model of a leader, how a leader should behave. And she is seen as a most charismatic leader. And there are other women, for example, in Bangladesh or in Pakistan, Benazir Bhutto has been seen as a role model of a political leader. A similar thing about Bangladesh, means these women are seen as the role models, but as a whole, the group of women, the collective of women, the 14 women or 20 women or 5 women within this 100 number, these women are seen just a concession. They are there, They are there because the men have allowed them a space, and they are there, and some of them become very, very powerful, not only at the national level, even at the state level. For example, we have seen very, very strong women chief ministers like Jayalalitha, or we have Mamta Banerjee right now, and we have various other examples. So these women, once they are in the position of power, they're seen as individuals. They are strong individuals, they are strong women leaders, and even their gender becomes invisible once they are there in that position of power. I do not think that anybody saw Mrs. Indira Gandhi as woman prime minister. She was seen as a prime minister, and in fact, she was seen as, means in terms of, again, patriarchal terms, she was defined the man, uh, in sometimes like the only man in the cabinet, the woman who acts like a man. So having women in that position is not acceptable. And when you define a woman as a man, means once she becomes she asserts her power, then she is seen as equivalent to man. Means it's not considered that a woman and a powerful woman as woman be a politician and accepted. So first thing is that women, the politics is monopolized by men. They outnumber significantly in relation to women. Then they let the women be there just because they're very small number. But when there is a possibility of women acquiring a critical mass, then they have very successfully, they have stalled the process of having them as and not and one has to go into this whole history of how many times this reservation bill has been introduced, how many excuses have been given by the political party. Then this is interesting that almost every political party has in the manifesto, and every time a manifesto is repeated, every time this provision is there, that the party will fight for 33% reservation, and 5 years come and go, and this never comes, this never translates into reality. uh, the intention of the political class, means whether they really would want women to be there, that intention becomes clear in so many ways. For example, we can say that, okay, political parties have been taking a position, okay, if they cannot have that bill passed in the parliament, they can start with having that reservation within the party. Within the party, some political parties like BJP would say like that we will give 33% candidature to women, or some other parties would do that. But then it will be done in such a way that not necessarily the seats are the nominations are distributed in such a manner that women get elected in that high number. So generally, women are given those seats for which, means the winnability chance of the party might be quite weak. Other than some seats, generally there are many seats where they may not be able to win. So I'm just saying the intention of the political class, and when I'm talking of intention of the political class, I'm talking across the board. I'm saying all the political parties, despite in spite of the political ideological differences, and I'm saying across the countries. Means it's not only the question of India. This is across other countries also. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Means it's a monopoly. Politics is a monopoly of men, and I've said that the reason is that politics is the one of the most important resource, and in a patriarchy, the resources are controlled by men, and that is what defines a patriarchy. And second thing is that which defines a patriarchy is that there is a control over women. Means the second definition is not only that, because patriarchy operates the globally, when we say that the globally the resources of the world are controlled by men, and in case of South Asia, much more so. Although we'll see that women are as there as entrepreneurs, women are there as scientists, women are there in many positions, but generally when it comes to to the collective. Individually, women have achieved, individually, women have been able to prove their mantle, but when it comes to collective, collectively, women do not have the resources. The resources are collectively controlled by men much more than women. Second, I'm saying is that the patriarchy is defined by the context that women are themselves controlled. In the sense like that we see, and here we find that there is a similarity in the South Asian societies, that we share that culture in which, despite the fact that there has been a modernization, means there has been, we can compare our, again I'll take the example of India, and we say that we can compare our situation 100 years earlier and 100 years now, that 100 years back that we were killing our girls after they were born. They were seen as liabilities and boys were seen as assets. And 100 years later, we still see the girls as liability and the boys as asset. And we can just point to the sex ratio and see the decimal situation so far sex ratio is concerned, and we see that we are killing the girl before she is born. So there is a modernization, there is a use of technology. We have become modernized. In fact, we say the patriarchy itself has been modernized. Women is still seen as a liability, and also culturally, irrespective of religious differences, irrespective of culture, irrespective of linguistic, ethnic differences, we see that women is seen to be something to be under control. And when women is under control, she is constantly, she is not an individual. Means again, we have all the countries over here which are democracies, which have got the written constitutions. Every constitution is talking about the rights. We are talking about universal rights. We are talking about the fundamental rights, the basic rights, the freedoms, the basic rights. uh, every country has those rights, and formally, constitutionally, women are given as many rights as men, and formally, constitutionally, there is no difference between men and women. But what still is the difference is that women, despite the rights that she has got by the constitution, women is still is not a citizen. Women means a citizen is a right bearing citizen. By definition, a person is a citizen when the citizen enjoys the rights given to that person by the constitution, by the law. In case of South Asian countries, despite the law giving the rights to women, equal rights, women are still not the citizens, because to be citizen, it means first of all that they should be enjoying those rights equally, all the rights, the right of freedom, right of movement, right of controlling their body, controlling their fertility, controlling their choices, controlling their opinions. They may not, they do not have those things, because it's because we all know it. I do not need to explain it. It's very common knowledge in South Asia that uh, legally and constitutionally, even if the rights are given, they do not get necessarily translated because of the social conditions. So because of this thing, we find that women are still not the citizens, and they, and on the contrary, they are under the gaze, they are under control of so many kinds. Means the gaze is such an important concept to explain as to what happens in case of when it's a question of women enjoying any kind of right, because it's the gaze which is very invisible gaze, but women herself is conscious of that gaze all the time. Women is socialized into her limits and into her what she can or she cannot do, what she's expected, what is an essential woman. Means every woman is told this is the essence of being a woman, and if she is to be accepted, if she has to be approved by the society, then she has to be behaving within those limits. uh, how does it happen is that, like, and again I do not need to explain, is that what is the meaning of control over women. Of course, in certain cases we find that even men are control. For example, the choice of marriage, I can say, even for men, the choice may not be for the individual, but we really know when it comes to women, whether she should be what kind of education, whether she should be, whether she should be following a career after education, whether she should, when it comes becomes a case of choosing between family and career, when it comes to the two spouses, and in case of one of the spouses has to take care of the children, who has are these are the very urban middle class examples. But generally we know that how many controls operate upon women. And I said that in these controls do not come from anywhere outside. These are inculcated into the very personality of women. Means I'll just use a concept used by Foucault, the French philosopher. He says that domination becomes very easy if the subject of domination becomes the agent of her own domination. And in this case of exercising the social controls, we know that most of the subjugation of women becomes easier because women themselves become the agents of their own domination. They not only reproduce the structure of controls, but they are further reinforcing those controls, and in many ways. uh, so in such a situation where there is a situation of control over women, I like to introduce another concept, that is a gender division of roles. Means and that again is something which happens across the countries in South Asia, that there is a gender division of roles. We say that because when we have a concept of an essential woman, a woman whose essence is to be a woman according to certain expected do's and don'ts. So uh, this essential woman has to behave according to the gender division of roles. And in that gender division of roles, one of the basic division is like the public space and the private space. Women's space, essential space, is not that women may not be doing things other than in the private space, but a sense by which women would be judged and approved is the private space, and the sense by which man would be judged and approved and his basic role is seen is in the public space. So this distinction, I say again, this distinction is again very much accepted, very much reinforced, and this is reproduced all the time. That women's space is the private space and men's space is the public space. How does it apply on politics? I'll just be talking about this in a moment. But right now we have to see that I just want to make it very clear that even if women may be educated, women may be taking up the jobs outside the private space, they might be in the public space. I said they would be approved and judged basically in terms to their essential roles where they are seen as women, that is in terms of their relationship with the family, whether they are good mothers, whether they're taking care of the family. Doesn't matter whether they are doing jobs and the jobs which are in the public space, but their essence is to be within the private space. So I just give that example, simple example of how a 30-year-old man or woman may be judged. A man, if not having a job, 30-year-old man not having a job, is seen something lacking as a man, is not a man, because his basic essence is that he should be in the public space, should be earning, should be supporting the family, should be the basic earner. So he will be judged because whether he will not be judged whether he's married or he's not married. And a 30-year-old woman will be judged by this question whether she's married or she's not married, because again, whether she has job or she doesn't have a job, that doesn't matter. She might be, that is coincidence. But what is the essence of the thing is that she has to be successful so far as her essence in the private sphere is concerned. So this being so, now when we come back to politics, what do we see? That politics is something which lies in the public space. And I'll be coming back to this point in the end, but right now I just wanted to make it clear as to why, means why there is a paradox about, and there are so many paradoxes about being women in the electoral politics, but most of these paradoxes are related to the patriarchal nature of the society and the context that politics is a resource which is controlled by men, and women need to be controlled. That is the essence of a patriarchal society. And then there is a gender division of roles, and politics lies in an essential role which is in the public space and which is a space for men. And to change that thing, and that we are reproducing it in so many ways. And so who are the women who come into politics? So first thing that we have to understand that the women who come to politics are mostly are those, and I'm not saying there are lots of exceptions, but mostly women in all the South Asian countries who join politics, who are able to attain important political positions, who are able to become the heads of the state. They come from the political families, and you now you can relate it why it is this happens. I said that there are cases of women coming within politics without without being a part of the political families, but you can count their numbers. But mostly it is very convenient, very easy for a woman to join politics if she is part of the political family. If she is not part of the political family, she has to have the patronage of men. We can give the example of Jayalalitha. Means Jayalalitha may not have been in politics if she didn't come from the political family, but she had the patronage of a man. Of course, we find Mamta Banerjee as a pure exception. She doesn't come either from the political family, or she hasn't come with the support of men. On the contrary, she has come there as an individual, and we'll find few examples like her as well. But in most cases, women who join politics and electoral politics are coming in continuity with the family politics, and it's for being part. Or you have been trained into politics. In case of many women, they are trained as student leaders, and then they join politics. Like Sushma Swaraj was a student leader, and she was trained into politics. But these are exceptional women. Again, when we have asked why does it happen that women from political families may find it easier to join politics as compared to other women. Again, now you keep that patriarchy in background, and the control which operate on women, the societal gaze, the expectation of women, that women has got something essential to prove within the private sphere, within the family. Then you can see that controversy. I think that you have all seen this movie Andhi, in which, the message is what, that women can either be a successful politician, or she can be a successful housemaker, family person. Means there is always an either or when it comes to women politician. There is no either or in case of male politician. In case of male politician, the family is a support. In case of female politician, it's like that you may not be able to fulfill your responsibilities, because what is politics? Politics is a full time, more than 24 hours job. And when it is a 24-hour job, you can imagine how many women can cross that boundary, the cross that limit of being the essential women, and take the challenge of being in politics, because there is so much at stake. What is at stake? Your family is at stake. You might be asked to choose at any point of time whether you want to have a family or whether you want to have a political career. There is the whole question of that happens with most of the women in the public life, that the easiest way to counter a woman is to talk about her in such a manner that there is a character assassination. A woman in public life can be easily, her character can be assassinated. And not many women are very comfortable with the idea. And then means it means crossing a boundary. Means you imagine a woman who has got everything. She has got the inkling, she has got the aspirations, she has got the ambition, she wants to be in politics. But then what will be the difficulties for her to enter in politics? There will be too many difficulties. The first difficulty is that crossing that mental block that politics is something which is there for men. I'll just give an example from means how it becomes a mental block. I just give my own example that I'm a good driver. I drive the car very well, but at the same time, somehow I cannot see what is this called the uh, the road means something. What is it called? I'm just getting the something to stop the speed of the car. I'm not able to see that. I'm not able to see that because most of the time my car jumps. And I have asked this question why this happens. And this happens not because I'm not a good driver. This happens because I'm not exposed to the road as much as my brother is. And when I compare myself with my brother, how much exposed any boy would be to the road. Means a boy is most of the time the playtime has been on the road. But the whole if we compare the road time for a boy, means the public space which men occupy, that space is there right from the childhood till late in life. That space is there. For women, what is the space? I remember that I've been going to school in means even if I've been going to a public space, but that space is very limited for me. Means I go with my parents or I go on my own, but I go only that route from my house to the school, come back. I spend my evening at home. My brother goes out to play. I'm not allowed to go out, or I do not feel myself that there is a need to go out. Means like it will be it because of all these things. My exposure to the road is less, and so that I cannot see the speed breakers. I wanted to say this is speed breaker I cannot see. My exposure to speed breaker is so little that I cannot see it, and then when I'm driving, I'm invariably jumping over the speed breakers, and somebody tells me, "Look here, there is going to be a speed breaker." So I feel that this is the same thing about politics. Politics is something. This is a public space. So when the question is asked, why are women not there? Women are not there because very few women show their interest in politics. If they show in their interest in politics, they join political parties at some point of time, and you can say the parties have every political party, and this is again a case across the countries in South Asia. Every political party will have a women's wing. And you know how is a woman's wing treated within a party? It's just an extension. It just exists. It's there because it is needed to be there. But it doesn't have any important, significant, crucial role to play in the party politics. So women are there in the party. Those women within the party also have to fight with so many challenges. They will not be allowed to go beyond a point. They are needed for campaigning, and mostly campaigning among the women voters. So when there is an election and when you say that okay, we want to woo the women voters, so you look for the women leaders and they will be there. They would be there, but when it comes to the crucial positions within the party, a women may not find that space, and women may not have the time. Women may not have that kind of means the resources which were required to be successful in politics. Women may be lacking the resource. What are the resources? You need money, you need what will say a kinship relationship, you need a kind of friendship, a kind of clique within the party. You need to have that kind of support. And you know, most of these support bases are there because of there is a men's club, and women cannot join that. And even supposing a woman joins it, and what happens then? She becomes somebody's friend, and then there is a character issue. Then she has to defend herself within the home. then she may not be able to come and be part of the politicking which takes place at late hours. So there are so many problems in which women may not be able to spend that much of energy, or they do not have the resources to fulfill their ambitions within the party. But even then, some women are able to do that. We find every political parties have very committed women who have been very well known women. But when it comes to a point, beyond that point, they cannot rise. They do not rise within the parties when it comes to any crucial position. You can take the example of All India Congress Committee or Congress Working Committee and just see that how many women are there. Or you can take the example of Communist Party of CPIM, a very important party in which we see Brinda Karat is the face of women face of that party. But then you see that who else? How many women are there who are there within so far when it comes to the crucial decision making positions within the party? So not many women are there, and they are not allowed the space. So problem lies with the party. Problem lies with this thing that because in this situation in which we are, that and this is another paradox. We find women in so many spaces. We find women when it comes to any important issue. For example, if we go by the movement politics, the social movements which are taking place, it's environment movement, it's we can take the name of Meda Particle, or we take the name of Vandana Shiva. These are the women who are leading the leading ecologists, or leading women leaders. Uh, and we also know that when it comes to any protest politics, any organized protests or unorganized spontaneous protests, we find women are there, women face is there. But when it comes to the electoral politics does not find so many ways by which to keep the women away. So as women, they are voters, so they have their importance as voters because they are a number. But beyond that, being voter, women as a constituency has not evolved in India. We have we have a large number of OBC, we have a OBC constituency, we have large number of Dalits, we have a Dalit constituency, we have large number of minority, we have minority constituency. Constituency means that there is consolidated groups of people where which political parties like to invest their energies on and consider them as important. There is no such thing as women's constituency. Although we find that, for example, in the latest election which took place in West Bengal state election, we heard that the women's vote did make a significant difference to the way the result was announced. So women may be there, may be effective, but women are not seen as a significant constituency. So there is no gender issue. Means since women are not a constituency, the gender issues are not visible issues. And we see that we have seen this thing, and I'll just take up two more examples and then I finish the talk. Just quickly, I want to say that when women are not there, what happens is that many issues concerning women just go missing from the agenda. This has been seen in the panchayat institutions, that wherever there are greater number of women and women have been effective, there women have been seen to be bringing issues. For example, simple issue of availability of drinking water. Means wherever there were women in the panchayats, they paid more attention on the availability of the drinking water because women have been directly linked with that. So in their absence, because men had nothing to do with that important issue was not visible. Second important thing I want to say is that there is an argument which is made that women are not, they're not available women. If women are not available, how can we bring women to contest elections or to give them positions of power as ministers? There is no availability of women. So to that, I can just give an answer that panchayats did not have availability of women, but the Panchayati Raj system trained women in the process. See what happened. It happened that initially, because women were controlling, men were controlling politics, so women were brought in as proxy candidates in many cases. And we know this is still institutionalized in many parts of the country where there is a pati panch. That is a woman who has been elected, but then the pati who is actually exercising power. But in the process of being there in the power politics, women do learn politics. I just end up this by giving two examples. One is example of Rabri Devi and other is example of Rajiv Gandhi, both reluctant politicians. Both were thrown into power positions. Rajiv Gandhi was reluctant. He was very happy being a pilot, but he was thrown into politics. He was not trained at all. He got training in the process. Rabri Devi similarly was a very reluctant politician. She was very happy mothering her kids and then being in the kitchen, but she was thrown into politics, made the chief minister. And the transformation in a person like Rabri Devi also 10 years later, the kind of confidence that she got to speak, to articulate the issue. So this happens is that when you throw somebody, it's like swimming. It's you have to throw them into politics. And in any case, we have seen that women do not lack capability of being political leaders. They have the capability, but they do not have the opportunity. And the challenge is very, very, very big. The challenge is not only how to fight this male monopoly over politics, but also how to go beyond the social gaze, the social surveillance, social taboos which stop women. So the challenge is big, but we have to have women, because and the last thing I'd say, that there's a question which is asked: why should women be in politics? And very different answers given. Somebody says women should be in politics because they will clean politics. I do not think women are in a position to clean politics, because politics monopolized men is created a culture which is a culture of dominant culture which is there. So when women will join, so they will not be able to clean the politics. They will be themselves transformed into whatever the culture is, and that's what we see. Women are not different when it comes to behaving in politics as compared to men. So why should women be there? My only answer is women should be there because it's the only thing which will justify a democracy. If you do not have women in the decision making position, you cannot justify democracy. Then we'll say that half the population is not represented over there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this extensive lecture. And I must say, you have brought so many different perspectives, and not just focusing on India, but the entire South Asia. So from beginning from the upbringing of women to the social cultural barrier that actually enforces her to be in a particular shell, and then bringing in different concepts starting from Amartya Sen to Foucault. It has given us a very comprehensive picture. And now, without taking much of the time, I would like to pass on the mentor to our director, Sonia Gandhi, who will be taking up the reflection and the Q&A session. Sonia Gandhi, please.
Thank you so much, Jigyasa. Thank you so much, Rekha ma'am. Listening to you was, and the scope of the lecture was almost as if you've covered an entire book in just a small span of time, and only experts like you are able to do that, and that too in such an agile way, almost like, you know, sharing instances and stories and cases. It was a very, very rich and informative session. So thank you very much for that. I'd like your permission to just reflect on a few things that I heard, a few things that came from my experiences also, and a few questions for clarity, which I'd like to ask you on the basis of what I heard. So the first thing, ma'am, that I wanted to bring up was when you mentioned that when a woman enters politics, there are only so many of the women who can get to a position where they're viewed as individuals, as leaders, as having risen beyond their identity as a woman. So that brings to mind this whole idea that does that necessarily mean that the idea of leadership in itself is maybe defined in masculine terms? I mean, when we look at culture, we all know that the mother figure has a certain element, a certain amount of authority. But again, a mother's role is not seen as a leadership role and is often seen as a nurturing and supportive role. And if we look at the gender differences and the gender roles that are assigned to the mother and the father, or the man and the woman, in those terms, based on, to a certain extent, on biology and to a certain extent on, obviously, social constructs, it is interesting to probably reflect over how leadership features in our cultural narrative, and whether or not there is even any gender inclusive dimension to reimagining leadership. Will that by any chance proceed to maybe redefine how what we know and understand as political leadership? In that case, maybe women may find it safer, because I was also reflecting that, as a youth activist, as somebody who is also growing in the field of policy research, I used to consider myself as a leader. But then when I ask myself also that if given the chance, not coming from a political family, will I ever take to politics, or will I look at it as a means that I would choose to wield power or bring about change? Most women would probably prefer an administrative role like the IS to probably getting into politics, if they are even meritorious, if they know how to manage, if they know how to handle a situation. And that probably comes from the fact that in politics, there is no cultural guarantee that your leadership is going to be attested, it's going to be acknowledged, that you're actually going to be seen as a leader, even if you wield electoral power. I mean, there are many, many leaders who probably have electoral power, but they are not taken as seriously. And that we see across the borders. I mean, there are some people like Mamata Banerjee who are exceptional, like you said, some people like Sushma Swaraj. And then there are some people like, say, Indira Gandhi, who did have a dynastic element to the supporting ecosystem that led her to be taken as a leader to a certain extent, because it was, I guess, timed, and it was appropriate, it was the culture, it was something that other senior party members agreed to. But even if we look at how the Congress itself diverged, how it broke into the Congress I, and that factionism, that also to a great extent was because there was a gender hierarchy working, and women probably have that stigma that their leadership is not going to be seen as leadership. I'd like your point of view on that, ma'am.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Why Indira Gandhi was chosen as a successor to Shastri? It's very interesting at that point of time when the succession was taking place, and Lal Bahadur Shastri died just suddenly. There was a very strong group of male leaders that was called a syndicate, led by Kamraj, Patel. They were the five of them actually. They were very, very strong people, and they were trying to keep a man away from being the prime minister. And the man was Morarji Desai. Means it was an iron man, like means he was a very, very strong man. And they didn't want Morarji Desai to be the prime minister because he was seen as a very, very strong person. So to keep him away, they wanted somebody who is not very assertive, somebody very fragile, somebody who would be under their control. So Indira Gandhi was chosen as a weak candidate. It's in the process that the kind of challenges that she had to face, means from 1965 to 1969, when the split took place in the Congress, and the time that Indira Gandhi has emerged as the leader of Congress I, it was a huge challenge, and then she had to assert herself in each moment. So that explains that for women to be a leader, you are absolutely right. The concept of leader, as I said, that Indira Gandhi is said to be the man. She is a man of the Congress party. She is not seen as a woman of the party. So leadership is a concept which is a masculine concept. And Indira Gandhi's position explains a lot that she was seen as a very very fragile, weak personality. So she was chosen, and means when and then she had the capability, and then she took the challenge, and then she asserted herself, and that again also proves that if women is able to meet that challenge, cross those boundaries, cross those barriers, then she can emerge as good or as bad a politician as men are. So it's again you have to learn in the process. Uh, so far as you saying the yes, I would agree with you again on this. For women like you, or even I can say including me also, given the choice, maybe I think we find the politics to be quite inconvenient. Quite inconvenient. Maybe administration is more convenient, easier, but politics is very very inconvenient for the traditional roles, gendered roles that women have to imbibe and live and prove all the time. In that context, politics is very very inconvenient, and one can should say that the women who are there are really are facing all those challenges, and we must appreciate the kind of challenge they are facing. But certainly it's as of now it is a masculine concept, leadership. It creates all kinds of problems for women as of now. But again, going by the situation, I said I gave always give the example of Rabri Devi. Ms. Indira Gandhi was a very different personality altogether, differently exposed. But if Rabri Devi could learn in politics, and if those proxy women in panchayats can learn, I tell my students, see what happens in the process. First time her husband comes and says that you have to sign, because ultimately it is the thumb impression or signature of the women punch which counts. The man cannot sign it. So when he comes to women to asking her for her signature, women understand this is my power, and this is my power over my husband, and she can negotiate. And this is the process, beginning of the process of negotiation, that women learn that how politics brings them to the process of negotiation, and in the process of learning, it's a huge learning process, but there is always a hope that yes, they will learn.
Ma'am, added to this, even if you look at Mamta Banerjee's rise, she also rose in her own stride as a politician after the Trinamool Congress broke away from the Congress. And the way she managed it was epic. But one more thing that strikes me as interesting is also the leadership of women within political parties who do not exactly take to electoral positions, but they wield a lot of power in terms of wielding the political parties, or at least in terms of political mobilization. Now, if you look at, for instance, Sonia Gandhi, I mean, she willfully, knowing that she's of foreign descent, she knew that there would be contestations, but she had taken up quite an important position in ruling the roost of the party and of dictating a lot of terms and managing and being a decision maker in a certain sense in terms of how the party's agenda would go forward. And that is also seen as a certain kind of leadership, though not probably would not be counted as electoral leadership. And interestingly, I mean, I remember when studying history, I see these patterns repeated in our Indian history, because if you look at Nur Jahan during the Mughal period, she was also of foreign descent and someone who was from an aristocratic family, but was not exactly welcome into the household of the emperor as someone who could rule the roost, but she did not just the Zanana, but also the entire empire from behind the veil. So my second question to you would be that when we look at women's political participation or active role in actually negotiating terms, actually influencing agenda, do you think that it is necessarily through only electoral participation that they're able to do that? Or maybe people like Sonia Gandhi and maybe other women within parties who are not perhaps highlighted, who do not actually seek the limelight or take the limelight for whatever reasons, they have much of a say in setting the terms and the agenda. because how a party's manifesto, like you mentioned, that most of the gender inclusive discussions in manifestos and in manifesto promises are often not there because there are not many women setting those terms. But what if there are more politically active and important women who are knowing how to negotiate terms from behind the veil? And even if for whatever structural inequality and cultural reasons they do not come to the front, does that necessarily mean that we cannot, that we have to say that there is less political participation of women in leadership in the political process? Your comments on that?
I would say that doesn't make any difference because Sonia Gandhi is also an exception, as Noor Jahan would have been. Means again, behind the scene, women who are powerful, there are very few women. And again, you can see that why Sonia Gandhi is powerful, was powerful, and why, because again, this has to do something, again, patriarchal, gendered context of Congress politics. Means the politics which is coming, traveling from Mrs. Gandhi to Rajiv Gandhi not being there, then she being his wife, and then the whole context of the Congress depending on the legacy of this family. So Sonia Gandhi is an exceptional woman, although again I'll say that she has proved her individual leadership, and it's not only that she proved, she actually was able to overcome the challenge of, as you said, that she is a foreigner, and that was the major challenge. And she was been seen as a leader in her own right. But that doesn't make any difference because Sonia Gandhi is one and exceptional person behind the scene. If there were more women behind the scene, maybe we could have analyzed that case. But still, I would feel like, as a person who teaches who is a student of political science and believes in democracy, I would see that I would prefer women to be there in the center of anything which is happening rather than behind the back.
And ma'am, one last question I have is, we know that a lot of people talk about reservation of women in politics, as much as that is extremely important. But do you think that the reservation of women in politics makes the women somewhat vulnerable to this idea of being pawns or puppets in the hands of men who use their political participation as a support element to only garner their own power? Because one thing which is still noted, and in grassroots politics all the more, is that if you go and ask how many women are contesting a general seat on at an equal level of competition because of merit, because of their background, you would seldom find any. I mean, women also choose to take the easy route of just taking the reserved seats, and beyond the reserved seats, you wouldn't see women contesting on an equal footing with men. So if we even talk about gender parity within the electoral process, how far are we from that space? And despite whatever privileges we are given in terms of reservation, though I would hardly call it a privilege, but where do you see this narrative turning over time? Do you see there's a scope that maybe women one day would also equally contest the general seats and not just go for the reserved seats? Will they have the power? Will they have the scope? Or is that even or how far is India from that even imagined possibility?
So I think whole of South Asia would have the same problem. And I think your question itself has an answer. You said that women are still not able to contest on generally. You say they do not contest. I say they do not have the choice. They do not have the space. They do not have the opportunity. So it's, if the women are not able to contest in the general seat, which means that they need reserved seats. And if they want to contest, the whole scenario, the challenges within the party, challenges within the society, challenges in the means it's a huge challenge. So to means the first minimum, and it is minimum. A reservation is the minimum. It's not the ultimate solution. It's a minimum is required that let the women be there, and only then they will be. You know what is happening right now? The women who are there are not bringing women. Means they are not able to be there for all the time. Are they not able to sustain themselves? Many of them. Also, they are not able to use their position to bring more women. Means we can ask this question: how many women has Sonia Gandhi brought in Congress? How many women has Mahbuba Mufti brought in PDP? How many women has did Indira Gandhi bring in Congress? So this does not work that way. Means so there are lots and lots of challenges, and I find the only one way to overcome the challenges that women need to acquire that critical mass. Have 50% of women in the parliament by reservation, and then see how the whole scenario changes. And that's what is scaring the male politicians. Means how the scenario will be changed even if there is a 33%. I said let there be 50% women in the parliament. Lots of change in the parliament. So after that, we will have to see means what other things change, but that is minimum that I find in South Asian scenario. Nothing else other than bringing them by force, by pushing them to that swimming pool, means they won't come otherwise.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Any last minute reflections, advice, anything you want to add to all the women listening to us, and also to the young men about maybe how we can make a more gender diverse and gender inclusive political participation process? Any words of wisdom, ma'am?
I would just say that gender is something like it's something that has to lived. You have to live gender. So I think as a group you can contribute a lot by sensitizing men and women into, because it doesn't necessarily mean that only women are gender sensitive. Sometimes women are very very gender insensitive, and sometimes men are more open to gender sensitivity. So since you are a group and you have the scope over here, I would like you to have more such workshops or where gender sensitivity about so many things can be evolved and developed. I think you can contribute a lot. It has to be an ongoing process.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and we'll definitely reach out to you for more advice on that. Having said that, we've come to the close of today's session. Thank you so much for your time, ma'am. Now I'd pass on the mantle to my colleague Akil, Mr. Akil Rashid, to present the vote of thanks. Akil, over to you.
Thank you, Soni. Yeah, before I present the vote of thanks, I would like to make an observation directly inspired from today's lecture. As we know, in present times, I'm talking about Jammu and Kashmir. So a lot of women can be seen joining political parties, or in the past, a few women were elected to the office also. They were elected to power also. And what I wanted to mention here is that it's their contribution which makes their role important or insignificant. As long as they are not able to deliver or allowed to deliver, their role remains insignificant. I will give you an example here. In Kashmir, you have these inauguration stones. Inaugurations are usually done by the male politicians. You will hardly find any inauguration stone here in Kashmir on which a woman politician's name is written. So it's not just they are present in the politics. I think there are a lot number of women who are present in the politics, who are constituting the important positions in the politics, in the political parties, but their activities are very less. Like you talked about, like you said, that Indira Gandhi or Sonia Gandhi or Mahbuba Mufti, why are they able to bring, how far they have been able to bring more women into the politics? Have they tried to bring more women into the politics? And what I wanted to say is that it's always there, the women who are there, it's their activities, it's their contribution which matters in the end. So with that, I would like to present a vote of thanks. And before that, like I said, we can pick many interesting facts from today's lecture on gender disparity in electoral politics of South Asia. But I would like to mention a few that stood out from the rest. One is politics is controlled and monopolized by men, and second, women are still seen as liability and men as assets. I think these are the facts that need to be seriously pondered if the gender disparity in politics is to be addressed. Uh, so with that, on behalf of the JKPI and on my own behalf, I would like to thank Rekha Chaudhary for delivering a very powerful, very evocative, very insightful lecture on gender disparity in electoral politics of South Asia. We look forward to more such lectures that can further address the issue that's hardly discussed in social and political circles. That's all for today. Before you conclude lecture series, thank you and good evening.
Thank you.